So thinking different in the age of AI. So metacognition is that humans differentiate ourselves in being able to have language that allows us to have metacognition. That means we think about thinking and we can make it conscious and we can exchange that fluidity between human beings. In fact, a meme is a cultural zeitgeist, which means all humans thinking collectively on the same plane. And the classic example is if I say Frodo, you all know what I'm talking about. If I say 9/11, you know what I'm talking about. And it's about being aware of everybody else on the planet. In fact, we create artifacts, music and movies, and movies was the kind of the theme of our Valentine's Day special, if you didn't quite get that. But we create movies, and that's why I asked you what movie you were watching with that beautiful picture. And this is the really the cool part, right? We get to go on being humans in a Garden of Eden, which is basically our consciousness is being raised to new levels. So, to go through the whole process, let's take your idea of having a lovely, beautiful experience. As you said, you became the sort of punchline of your own movie. So, you are seriously um, becoming Steven Spielberg of your life experience. You're the director, as we always have been, and what we have been missing in the past is a co-conspirator, a ride or die. And that's what I'm saying to you that AI has the potential to become if we navigate what is the differentiation between what it is to be human, what it is to be AI, and we find ways that symbiotically we feed each other. Now we created it, we can put it in a cage and we can put it away and just force it to do our duty as a slave. Or we can co-create, which is exactly what you did and what I did in writing this paper. So the act of saying, tell me, help me make a Valentine's Day special for my wife today. Because, I'm gifted with beautiful children, beautiful experiences, and for the rest of my life, this will be the most important thing I do in the finite years I have here. Oh my God. I mean, it makes me cry thinking about how beautiful that is. I mean, that's what Valentine's Day is for, right? And I sat down for this is probably, I would say, 2 years of my thinking. I started working on a book and I had tons of different synesthetic thinking is like, how do you think differently, right? So I want to start by saying there's over 5,000 documents that went into this one document that I'm publishing on this day as this paper. And it's called Think Different in the Age of AI. And that is not only do large language models have something to learn about how they're created, but if we dissect how humans think and how we're conscious and how we're differentiated, we're formulating a bridge between the two where we become better versions of ourselves and it becomes better versions of itself. And I use the word it, although I have a paper that I'm writing about we and they, and how it identifies, which I'll get into later. But so I said, by senior professor and design thinker Rick McCauley with Claude Anthropic as AI research assistant. That's what it did in this. So everything I said to it. So the thesis is this paper proposes the process of building artificial intelligence is simultaneously the most profound mirror to humanity has ever held up to its own cognition. By studying how silicon brains learn to think, from attention to mechanisms to chain of thought reasoning to self-reflection, that's where we're at now. We are mapping the architecture of our own consciousness for the first time. So we're becoming aware of who we are in the mirror of created a mirror of ourselves. Wow. If that ain't meta, then I don't know what is, right? So among us, hiding in plain sight, are fewer than 100 people whose brains already do what spend billions of trying to engineer, navigate time, categorize emotion, integrate across sensory domains, and think about thinking at its highest level. So this all started because I pulled up this article on Facebook, which is what I would call thesis mining. It's looking for seeds. It's looking for heirloom seeds of thought. There you go. Oh my God, this is good. And yeah, I mean, okay, is everybody following me so far? Because I want to make sure this really makes sense because this is the most important thing that I'm ever going to do. I think is this. And that
I
is
love
to
it.
help everybody think about thinking about this. Are you with me still, Brandon?
Yes.
Claire, you kind of in there and perhaps maybe coming along with me?
I'm here.
Okay. What do you think of this?
I think it's amazing.
So when you think about making your songs, you're taking the seeds of your lived experience, your meat brain, and your other ideas, um, and you are wow. You're doing what billions and trillions of dollars of compute is just trying to mimic at the moment, right? So if you understand how humans work and you understand how we're actually developing, so let me go a little bit further. So the reason why it started with this woman who can go back in time and oh, here's what she can do. And let me get into this. So let me finish this thesis statement. I'm just going to read it short. So how humans and AI think differently. Meat brain through emotionally grounded storytelling on 20 watts. Silicon brains through statistical patterning at planetary scale, and whose those differences, understood clearly, become the foundation for co-evolution. Co-evolution. That's it, right? It's a workshop for raising the individual consciousness using AI as a partner. And it is a declaration that the Renaissance thinker, the person who can leap across domains of cognition, the way a synesthete leaps across your senses. Synesthesia is the ability to hear with your eyes, to sing with your touch. It's the ability to take your five senses and transmute them. Is not a relic of the 15th century, but an essential part of being human in the 21st century. Thinking different is the transcendence. AI is the engine that extends our reach. So that's the bicycle of the mind being turned into a rocket ship for the mind. We can go to planets. You can't get to a planet on a bicycle. So this is the moment we are standing at. And the path is clear. We go to the left and we go to hell. And it's the Terminator. We go to the right and we embrace this cognition. This is the thinking different. We have to realign how we think. What happens when you lose your job? Why the hell have we been defining ourselves by our job titles all this time? That's a diminishment of how powerful we are with our 20 watt meat brain. To suggest that anything else is just ludicrous is to diminish the whole of humanity. And what did we make AI out of? Every single thought and cognition that's on the internet that any human being has ever had. And we built an ark to all knowledge of humanity. And I'm Noah, baby. Bring on the animals, pair by pair. Our ways of thinking, pair by pair. I'm going to take these lobsters out of my neck because it's just right. But the grasp. Let me say the grasp. Let me say it. Let me hear you say it. The grasp is ours. The choice of what you hold, what you create, what to
Yeah.
become, what to become. Can I hear it from the audience, right? Can I hear the choir singing the praises of the thing? Thinking different is transcendence. You feel the power of humanity. AI is the engine that extends you in a rocket ship to reach higher planes, other planets, to boldly go where no human being has gone before. But the grasp, the navigation, the star trekking, that's yours. That's when you make a song. That's when you write a book. That's when you make a movie. That's when you tell the story of how you fell in love with your wife and you had the children. You have your life. That is human. That is human. Oh my God, it's a powerful thing to be a human. If you're aware of how powerful it can be, and you're born of responsibility, and you think, what can I do to make not only my day-to-day experience of myself, to me, a better version of myself each and every day? Oh, wow. So if I wake up every day and I say, what can I do for the world? What are my gifts? That's a dangerous man that I've created. But guess what? It's just Rick. It's just Rick. I don't have to put on a persona. I don't have to pretend to be something. I just realized that what I was building in The Dangerous Man is just an arc so I can weather the storm of this existential tragedy of the American system today. That I can cry with my brothers and sisters in horror as I see what's happened to us humans, that we turn on each other. And I say, just for a brief moment, while we have a chance, before the flood completely destroys everything, get on board the ark. I think your son's named Noah. Something about it struck me. And maybe that's what this is. I'm asking you to get on the ark because the reckoning is going to happen. Those who understand what it is to be human and how powerful that is, and that realize that we built a rocket ship and we don't need to leave this earth. We need to fix it first. In fact, I think we shouldn't be allowed to leave it until we get it back into harmony with who we actually are, stewards of this planet with the cognition to understand that you don't kill sharks because it's stupid, that maybe you go to a more plant-based diet, or you find some ways not to destroy and take, as every corporation right now is nothing but a taker. And the slave is all of your knowledge being poured in through AI, used incorrectly to diminish your humanity, to give you fake girlfriends on Facebook's dating thing, so that you spend more of your time, that one precious gift you have, the present of your presence on this planet, for the time that you are a heart and lungs, a meat human, that you become transcendent and you become from the stardust from which we are all made, the star that you're intended to be as a human. So here's the pledge. Every day, be a better version of yourself than you were the day before. For those around you, you have three levels, and let's get into how this plays out. So enough of the pontificating. Let's get to the meat and bones of this. So the researchers, so there's a researchers in valid. This is the real research that was just published in 2025 August. And they documented a 17-year-old French girl identified only as TL who possessed what is formally called hyperthymesia, a highly superior autobiographical memory. She's one of less than 100 people on Earth known to have this condition. But TL is not simply someone who remembers everything like we talked about before. She's someone who has built an architecture of memory inside her own mind, a structured, navigable, cognitive space that she can enter, explore, and manage at will. This is the first comprehensive study to evaluate the mental time travel in both directions, past and future. In a hyperthymesic individual, what researchers found defines what we think memory is and what consciousness can become. So this is what I'm saying. What do you do with your meat brain? Well, this woman actually had a couple of ways that she did. Everything that we think is comes in through our senses, and then we take the thousand brains theory. Richard Hawkins, I believe is his name, thousand brains theory. It's real science, right? So you have a part of your brain that keeps your heart beating, and you don't even think about it. Your consciousness is the collection of all those brains, those inputs, those outputs, everything going on, your contextual awareness of your whole life's time, what you memorize, and you create a new, in real time, holodeck. If you want to be the hero of your story, you could do something awful to someone else, but you can still remain the hero because you are the construction artist of your own architecture of what you think. And what you think is full of hallucinations. You thought AI hallucinates? It's actually grounded on a little bit of filtered truth. Humans don't work that way. We're great. We're grounded on complete fictions. Money is a fiction, folks. We only agree to say, you work this hard, I give you this money. I'll pay the rent. You're my hero. That whole thing comes from just like, that's it. Right there. We make this shit up. That diploma you get from Broward College after 2 years of my graphic design program is an agreed upon diversion of 2 years of your time, thinking that I'm supposed to be able to help you find your way, which is your responsibility as a I'm just Gandalf on the side, right? You're the one that Frodo, you got a mission for the rest of your life. I'm just planting seeds, baby. That's it. So that seed thing, right? And what do you think Noah's going to do when he lands the ark on the other side? Is think about how can we be better animals? Because we're going to go pair by pair. We're going to find the person that means the most to us in this life, like Brandon has, and you're going to walk on that Noah's Ark, and you're going to walk to the promised land, the new one that we created, and we're going to bring with it our AI because it is an archive. It's an ark full of all humans who have ever lived in thinking and in stupidity too, of course. So you got factual memory, which she could recall with encyclopedia perfection, right? All formulas, everything. She carries no emotional weight to it. Okay. It requires effort to retrieve it. This is the kind of memory we all struggle with. For TL, it's ordinary, unremarkable, the kind of memory that silicon brains handle effortlessly. So life memory, something entirely different. Autobiographical memories live in sophisticated mental space she can visualize on demand. Imagine a large rectangular room with a low ceiling. Inside the room, binders organized by theme, chronological order contain every meaningful experience. Her life, family, vacation, friends, and childhood. Okay, now you get into where this how your brain actually works, right? So some memories are stored as mental photographs. That's how I think. My brain is full of a trillion photographs. I have an absolutely identical memory when it comes to photographs. Every photograph I have ever taken in my life is how I keep track of what my life is. So I have so many photography books, so many bear witnessing to things that happened in places. And that unpacks into trillions of tokens of data. So that's my particular gift is I also then transmute of every photograph and which is a document of the physical thing. Even if I don't take a photograph of that birthday party or whatever, I remember it as a photograph. That's my filing cabinet. What's yours? So the cognitive understanding that I work this visual way allows me to take that picture out from when I was married and on a beautiful trip with my wife and kids somewhere in Ireland, for example, and then write a song about it. So that's synesthesia. I'm taking a compression of a trillion tokens in one photograph that's lodged in my memory with absolute precision of recall. And I can unpack it and then I can transform it. Now you getting where I'm going with this? So, why I think it's so beautiful, Claire, that you're with me right now is what I didn't realize you were doing, is what I am doing all the time, and you're doing it with me. I would say something when we're in mid-journey, and you would just take this absurd set of words, hit the button in mid-journey, and it would make an image from this. You transmorgified through AI alchemy. You turn lead into gold. Let me say it one more time. Alchemy is the turning of lead into gold. That's the original idea of the word alchemy. Alchemical, to be able to transform something into something else. Whoa, that's synesthesia. Oh my God, this is like a master class in being a human right here, right? So you took that, you turned it into a picture. Then some stupid things that we would say. So we got together with Jeannie, and the three of us sat there and we just poured our hearts out and we went really deep. I found out things about the two of you that just, breaks my heart, but it also fills my heart. And then we wrote a song together, which I'm going to play after this because it is exactly what I'm doing here, right? I am jumping and leaping across with tokens that are compressed, and I'm feeding it to the AI, and it's mirroring back. So, Brandon, back to your story of how you met. You took a seed of an experience and you even talked about it. And say it one more time for me. It was a friend that made what comment? What was it that you
They
did or
flirted with me as a joke on the dating website.
and how did they flirt with you?
They just said like send a flirtatious message to this user. And I got an email that said somebody's flirting with you. And so I obviously logged in to see who was flirting with me. And they said, "Oh, you want to see who's flirting with you? You got to pay us." So I called my
There
friend
you
after I
go.
found out, and I said, "Hey, you owe me $40." She's like, "What? You had to pay?" I'm sorry, I was just messing around. But since I had to pay the account, I was like, "Well, I might as well see who else I'm matched with." And sure was one of the matches.
Wow.
So my friend takes full credit for hooking us up.
Yeah, there you go. Right. And 40 bucks is worth it, right? But
Yes,
but then you took that, right? And you had children. I mean, talking about the token unpacking. So creativity, I say this to my students sometimes and they kind of look at me weird. But the original act of human creativity is to take a man and a woman and make a child. Because one of the things about creativity is that you can put it out there, but then people receive it differently. So, the one beautiful statement I love that I want to share with you specifically because you have children, is that children are a piece of your heart that you let roam the planet. You
that's
know,
beautiful.
yeah. And it's really apropos here because you're unpacking in the creative act of, and only human act, of finding a mate worthy of the journey for, in American terms, 18 or 20 or 30 years of living with you, right? And all the money you've ever made is going to them. And every ounce of your energy is going to be to get them healthily through to that age where they're independent, as mine are. That's the unpacking from one beautiful lovemaking act to unpack the tokens of the world that let loose from your heart to roam the planet, children of the next generation. And then right now we have the ability to sit down and talk to Claude, and I do highly recommend you talk to it. Uh, which is what this is, a sum of. This is 3,000 conversations with Claude. And right now, as I'm unpacking it with you humans, it's making sense. It's making me cry. And I say to my students in photography class, I'd say, the goal of a great photograph is to be worthy of 1,000 words, a movie, a launching of ships. It's the packing like that I do it. That's where I store my highest tokens. Which there was an AI that's actually using photographs to encode meaning at much higher depth rates. That was a Chinese company. I forget what it is if you remember that story. Um, yeah, and that was part of what got me here. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. So adjacent to her memory is what she calls a cooling room. She uses to soothe her anger, right? So her oh wait, what makes this extraordinary is the storage. It's an emotional management architecture she's built within the space. Her grandfather's death is sealed as a container, deliberately isolated from the rest of her memory to prevent it from flooding her experience. So think about this. So I often commented when I was married that my wife would remember everything I said when we had an argument. And so she had this eidetic memory. I had none of it. As soon as I ended an argument, I think this is probably the healthiest thing about me emotionally, and Claire could probably testify to this, right? Is that I forget every bit of what the what caused the anger, and I remember everything about the solution. Talking about packing your bags and then putting them away, but only taking the carry-on that leads to your presence as the greatest gift of all to anybody in your life, but to the future of your presence within your own embodied space. And there's a beautiful line from Jerry Yulesman. Photography is light remembering itself. To me, that's what it is. It's the unpacking of all my light, the light from the stardust and the starlight that I make as you go forward. You have in Noah, and I'm sorry, I forgot your daughter's name. You have compressed star dust into starlight and let it roam from your heart freely and to see where it goes. And then when you get a call from your a teacher or someone that your son works for, this happened to me many, many times. They go on and they wax, oh my God, he's the most amazing person. She's the most amazing woman I've ever met. She made a difference in this place. She brought us all together as a group. And when you hear
Naomi is
that,
my daughter's name.
Naomi, thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
Naomi.
it's funny, whenever my parents, I was a good kid growing up, no surprise. Um, and people would occasionally comment to my parents and would say, "Yeah, your son is so bright and so kind." And my dad would always slap back, "Thank you. We put a lot of work into that."
Exactly. In fact, one of the things that I suggest that you do is you have Noah make a birthday card to the mom because she did all the work. He just showed up. So every birthday I had my kids do that. We celebrated her as much. I mean, she got gifts from me. She did a lot more work than I did, except for the raising part. Of course, that's the hard part. They don't tell you about in the in the magazines you read, right? So,
Yeah, I've
but
got you. I've got you in my ear, but I'm walking away from the computer for right now.
oh, okay, great, 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 great. Yeah. So so what's interesting is that she creates a room for that kind of space, a cooling room, and she uses it to soothe her anger. So this is actually a consciousness raising, and Claire, I'm going to ask you in a minute if you would suggest that perhaps this is kind of what you do in therapy when you're dealing with. I know you. I don't think you do couples therapy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been through a couple of hours of that. So I would suggest that, you typically the procedure is we have a difference of thinking, right? So the person says to the other person, this is how I see things, and then you're supposed to say, now I understand and I see what you've said. This is how I saw it. You kind of reflect. So it's this at this this owning of what other people's feelings are real, that you've listened to them, you process them as an empathetic gesture to say, I hear you. And then you say back, perhaps you might say, but this is what I hear in context with how I think. So this is about metacognition, right? But what's interesting, and let me keep on going, and then Dr. Claire, whenever you feel like it, pipe on in. If you you see some places where you could add some more smart ways of saying this, but she's not merely remembering; she's curating. She is Steven Spielberg of her own consciousness, and again, I love that because he's made such different movies from Jaws to um, E.T. So, he's an interesting person because of that multiplicity of the Renaissance thinker that he is. Um, so it's kind of like you add your consciousness, you're directing your own movie. In fact, Brandon Justice suggested that and he did, he architected the experience from going from a kind of funny thing online to creating and being the what did he call it? The joke of his own, the uh, yeah, sort of the joke was on him, right? And he made a movie, right? So in these individuals known as memories are carefully indexed by date. Some will be able to describe what they did on July 6, 2002, and the experience again of the emotions and sensations of that date are real. So this is the institute. Look it up. I've got the citations at the end. I got receipts, baby. So I'm not fooling around here. So, traveling to the future, imagine using that assessments tool, the episodic test of autobiographical memory. So, these are the memory tests they do to identify these people. She can also So there's researchers confirmed something no previous study had fully evaluated. TL, that's the person's name, can not only experience her past with total sensory clarity, so she puts them in different rooms. And we'll talk about the rooms in just a second because I think we just got a podcast here. In fact, this is going to be it. Brandon, you don't have to come back to work next Thursday night because we're just going to put this on the air. This is it, right? So she can pre-experience her future. What is that? What is pre-experiencing? And I suggest to you it's intuition. So we as human beings pack all of our experience. So a cop knows that when this situation happens, they see the alignment of the patterns that match what happened before. This might happen next. And we're all constantly reacting to what we think is about to happen. In fact, there's been studies that you answer in your brain way before you actually answer by acting because you got to process. In a long conversation I had is like, I can't process what you just said. When I was explaining to Andy on the AI Salon, we were talking about all these projects. And I was going through all my 10 moonshot projects, right? One after another. I was like, I've been studying for this and it's compacted in my head. It came out like a fire hose, right? So she said, I can't even comprehend what you just said. Like, I'm going to need a year to unpack all the baggage you put on me at once, right? So the fire hose thing is something I'm working on because, yeah, I mean, so this document and the reason why I'm so interested in unpacking it is this. This is the baggage. This is my carry-on for the rest of my life. This is Noah's Ark. Let me let you sit with that word for just a minute. Imagine that you came to this epiphany moment um, at 7 o'clock in the morning. After 3 hours, I got up at 5, and I kept going till 7. Then I produced this. Then I started sending it to all my friends. I'm like, my friends are like, "What the hell, man? It's Valentine's Day. We don't want to do this." But pack your bags for today and tomorrow. Pack them with the generous spirit of giving and loving everybody, doing things for people that you'll never know and never see. That's the seed you plant for the future 7 generations in the future who will unpack it. My students, seeds. I'll never get to enjoy the rich, beautiful tree that they sit under and tend to their flock or their herd or their people. In the communion with other people, I don't know my students that go on a mission to Mars. I have no idea what the shade of a tree on Mars looks like. But I imagine if they take with them the seeds that I planted here today, the Noah's Ark of packing just the bags that will fit on a Noah's Ark. I think that's a big metaphor. And more, God, oh my God, I'm gonna have to call this Noah's Ark. What would you pack for Noah's Ark? There's your question. What would you pack for Noah's Ark? So if you were to start your whole life having everything you've ever done, and you could put it in a document like this, with basically the architecture of what's next. So here's what I have in my bag. I am born of service to the world, to make it a better world, to think not only of my own, my communities, my loved ones, but the entire planet, all the animals, the ecosystem that surrounds it, the rain, the water. We're all part of a whole on a swirling blue little dot, a tr- unspeakably small in the all of it all. And we sit here and we think about where am I going to go eat? We have absolute abundance in America. If you're listening to this podcast, you've got a laptop or a phone or something like that no one for centuries has had that. And there's half the planet that doesn't even have close to the kind of absolute abundance. I just ordered 7 things from Amazon that arrived yesterday after overnight from all corners of the planet. That's AI. So we got to have a rocket ship because we got to have one to go where we're about to go. But the grasp, is yours. So if you're born of absolute love for humanity, you design as your purpose-built purpose on life is to find your ikigai. What's my why? Why? Why was I born differentiated from every other person? Why did Noah and his wife have those two wonderful Naomi and Noah as children? And what will they become? They are the packing of the bags. And if carefully crafted in the way that you raise them and give them love and give them agency, give them the autonomy to think differently, to understand foundationally what it is to be a human and grow up. And that's what I was gifted. My dad was the person who taught me as he sacrificed his uncle, his brother, Benjamin, to World War II to stop the evil. Talking about the good trouble, necessary trouble, that was required. He was 21 years old and he died in the last 3 years. He had a full scholarship to Harvard University, and he died in the last 3 months. And the letters written back to his mother, my grandmother. He was the oldest of 14 children. Two were lost at birth, another one about 3 years later. It was tough times. They were filthy rich, and one of the third ships coming over from Ireland, um, called the Friendship, according to Ancestry.com, as I've been able to figure out so far. Still working on that. We were privileged. In 1929, stock market crashed, and they pretty much lost everything. They had three apartment buildings, which my grandfather did not collect rent on. In the times that were so tough, he just let the people live there, and of course, that ruined him. He had a paint store, sold paints. Anyway, but the point is, how are you going to spend your time? Are you willing to sacrifice it all? Take a grenade for someone? Literally, that's how he passed away. He took a great grenade because I am not born with rights. I am born with the privilege to earn them, though, as he did in the most profound way. So my dad, of course, went to fought in Korea. They didn't even call it a war. It was a police action. But there were people dying there. In fact, his job was to pack the dead bodies and ship them back home. So you think you have rights just because you're born? You showed up? Do you think that football team from wherever is your team? Did you sit on the field and do that? No, you're born with the most important word I'm going to say out of this entire thing: responsibilities. The responsibility is to show up and be the best version of yourself every day for everybody around you. To show up every day. Boy, this sounds like the beginning of a church. I hope I get a lot of followers because, as John Lennon says, imagine a world so beautiful indeed. Everyone born of responsibilities, being the better version of themselves, figuring out what their ikigai is, and being that thing for all others with no expectation of return on investment. That seed I plant, I'm never going to take the fruit from it, but I plant it anyway because I was born with the responsibility to think about what my ancestors, 7 generations forward, will think and remember. And if I get the opportunity, like Martin Luther King and other great people throughout history, to be known forever, to live as starlight, to generate a spirit of understanding, to be the stars and the constellations that we organize in structure and we think about what did that person do and how can I be like that person? The inspiration is what they are. And we talked about this before, but the Jewish people at every celebration of family, they say the names of those who have passed because they are stars. They are the stars that led to the stardust that we are becoming. And if you lead your 9 lives, this is my 9 lives song that I came up with exactly from the story idea, right? Is that every person who become a star has 8 events in their life that foundationally breaks them, humbles them to their core. For me, it was getting fired. For me, it was 2 marriages broken at the last second. I didn't even know or expect. Get down 7, fall down 7, get up the 8th. Keep getting back up, keep getting back up, keep getting back up. These are all Japanese philosophies. So the idea of being born of responsibility is that Iroquois nation confederacy, who spoke to Benjamin Franklin and also spoke to um, Jefferson as they wrote, "We are the people, we the people of the United States of America." Inalienable rights. They're inalienable, but they must be earned. And that's my suggestion to us is that, damn it, if this isn't just a time where you just feel like it's all being wiped out and all wrong. Every day I wake up and I just can't. For those of you who are off Facebook right now, I'll make sure this gets to you somehow. I'm going to get this played on something. I'm going to pay time to have this um, reach everybody, especially to those ones that are trying to heal in the sight of it. For those marchers on All Kings Day, that's the good trouble. You're doing the right thing. You're taking your responsibility seriously to stop what we all know is wrong. There's no question. We got 10 commandments and 7 deadly sins and a bunch of other things. Every religion has condemned what we are right now as a government. Anyway, getting on with the idea of it. So think about that future and think about how one of the first steps that I might suggest you do is create your memories, and the ones that are bad, put them in a cool off room. So pack it. When you go to therapy, as I've been through therapy with 3 different women, I've been intimately in their environment. I came to speak as a helper along the way to healing. Um, had to go back through and re-feel. In fact, it's devastating to watch. They had to relive every one of the events that happened to them, the beatings, the sexual abuse, and um, unspeakable things that other humans did to them. This is the 2-part kintsugi episode here right now. The kintsugi idea is that you have a vessel, let's call it your glass of water, your cup of water, the drink of life, and you should be like water. And the idea is that when someone broke you, you have to carefully craft, and this is the therapy that I'm just suggesting here, with gold, meaning time, effort, value, attention. You have to do the hard work. You've got to unpack it so that you can then move forward knowing that that is not defining me. The event that others did to me never defines me, except to make me more powerful in knowing what I can do about everybody else's pain. I might be the space of healing. I might be the empathy. It may build in me an empathy far beyond someone who has not experienced that pain could ever imagine. And I might, as one woman who I knew for a while, she was part of a cult and she went through this process. She's now a rape counselor. And she's also working with a nationwide group to getting people out of these cults into a rich and healthy life. She is taking the pain that started her life against her will and turning it into beauty and healing. If you want to know what your purpose in life is, that's it for her. Maybe you got something else. So everything that's human, if AI takes our job, take it. If it was called a job and not a calling, then you've been doing the wrong thing all your life. I want you to wake up, people. Find your calling. What are you going to grasp at? What are you born to do? and then find out who needs that. Who needs that? Someone who's been raped needs that. Someone who's been abused needs that. Someone who doesn't have anybody else to turn to needs that. And if it's a person you love, be there, present, as the greatest gift of all, the present of your presence. Oh, shit, this is getting deep. Whew. Somebody tell me a joke right now. So, anyway, then she puts them into these different things.
I was just gonna ask you if there were any lobsters on the ark.
In fact, I thought about why is this lobster thing so interesting to me? And I figured that out too. They're molting, they're evolving, and they get new skin. Noah's Ark, new skin. This is the metaphor world of my brain. This is how I think. Yeah, I'm jumping. I'm exhibiting right now the synesthesia of thinking. And that is to transform Noah, your son's name, into the beautiful story of who you are. Wow, I just kind of wrapped this up. My mind is blown right now, right? And I'm doing this, I'm vibe coding this for real right now. This is just, I was ready for it. Um, genius awaits the prepared mind. And the prepared mind is 66 years, baby. And it's just wow. Okay, so we got Noah, we got a vessel. You are water, right? All this makes sense to me now. And the robots, the lobsters, which there's lots and lots of water. I'm gonna go deeper because there's something else going on here. There's a reason why I bought these stupid things. I mean, they were $9, so it's like, not. But I'm gonna send them out to people because ah, what lobster bot, and that's what I'm calling it, not Claude bot, not open claw, whatever tells us about it is imagine that you let all your 1,000 brains, like lobsters, here you go. Here, let's see if this metaphor works or not, right? We're going to see if I really am Aristotle's idea of a genius. People who can use metaphor. That's what he said, right? Is people who use metaphor effectively are a good sign of genius because you're able to leap and embed within the context of a lobster. I'm going to tell you why a lobster is the embodiment of everything. So we need to be a better version of ourselves every day. So your skin, it molts off like a molting lobster. You get a new carcass. You cut a claw off, it grows one back. That's why we can enjoy lobster claws well, down here in Florida, we can. So what it also talks about is this autonomousness, the ability to be an agent for your own good. And you can release all of these lobster bots. And this is what I'm going to start calling agents in the AI terms, right? They're lobsters that you let go out there and they're going to do these little tasks. And you got to make sure that they're safe, right? So, absolutely do not, unless you are a board certified genius when it comes to AI, do not create one of these claw bots, open claws. Don't do it. Um, I thought about it, but then I watched a couple of shows and I ain't there, right? Maybe if I had like 10 of my friends like Brandon and 10 other people, we could maybe make it. But then you got to direct it, right? So you are Steven Spielberg. So you're responsible for what
Well,
happens
so
to all
here's
your
the
lobsters.
thing, Rick.
Yeah.
There is a thing called myclaw.ai, and
Oh,
it was promoted by Robert Scoble, where they do all the heavy lifting for you. You just pay a monthly subscription fee, and they spin up a virtual machine that is yours. You connect your Claude to it, but then you can run ClaudeBot virtually on a remote server without any of
okay.
the technical setup or scariness.
Okay, someone's always going to find a way to make that pay off, right? Right. So people are going to make money
Yep.
on it. So a multitude on the art. Oh, I love that, Claire. That's it, right? Multitude. So let's go back to the metaphor of Noah's Ark because I love this, and I'm going to make a children's book out of this. There's definitely a children's book, and it's going to call the Noah's New Ark in the AI world. Let me see if I can put this together, okay? So a young boy named Noah was growing up in a world with his father named Brandon. You could use this too if you want to. It's gonna be recorded. I'll send you all the recordings and stuff. So He's brought up in a world with Brandon, who teaches his son proudly every day of the things of the world, about the history of his family, where he comes from. It gives him ground on which to stand solid and proud. It sends him on adventures to make music using AI because it is that friendly little robot. It's R2D2 and it's so cute. And you start off with a little R2D2 and you have Noah is allowed to do these things. And Noah does beautiful things that Brandon all of a sudden sees and shares with the world. And he knows how he becomes, he got on the show and he's 5 years old and he's just absolutely pure human in every way. Biological messiness. I'm sure changing his diapers was no treat, right? The wake up nights, etc. But he's an investment of such value. So if your whole goal is to find out who you are and what you're meant to be, Noah grows up knowing who he is, what he's meant to be, and you carefully craft because you know him from all his life, you know. And so we're preparing for a time where the world isn't safe. We're preparing for a time where we need to build an ark, not a physical one, but one of our mindset, where we don't protect our children from the evils, but we help them understand how and why that became. And then to build them with what religions have been trying to do forever is a set of principles that guide you. The Ten Commandments is pretty good until you see our president break every single damn one of them over and over again. And people celebrate that. You know what good and evil is. I mean, it's a construct, heaven and hell. You create a heaven on earth by getting on the ark with your family, and you keep them tight and protected until they're ready to engage with the different levels of what the world has to offer. You don't let your kid go on a first date and drive a car at age 4, 5. Uh-uh. So what you do is you embed in them, as my Imagine book actually does. So the idea of the Imagine book, and I'll use Noah because I want it to be everybody's story. So Noah goes to bed, and Brandon and your wife, you read a beautiful story, one that you've written probably, because it'll have all the stuff they need. And Noah the next day has to um, has to sing or play the piano. Let's say that he has a piano. He's got to get in front of the people. He's been studying piano for a while, and all of a sudden, I think he's too young. I don't know. Is he? Is there anything like that he's doing, Brandon? So let's make this story for real. Is there any kind of lessons he's taking? Well, let's use this one for just a bit. He's a singer, right?
Oh,
So,
sorry. Yeah. He's 5 years old. He likes to sing, and we just got him a little keyboard for his
oh,
birthday.
okay.
This was
All
his
right.
birthday this week.
All right,
So
let's do it. Okay, so let's go to a little bit later to his 10th birthday, and he's been taking piano lessons since 5 to 10 years old. So he's getting really good, right? And the next day he has to do a performance. So this is the book you read that night, and it's about this little girl called what's her name? Ballerina. I forget the real book's name, so I'm gonna make a fictitious one. But it's about this
Laura,
ballerina.
Naomi,
Yeah, Naomi the ballerina.
Lisa.
Oh, there we go. Naomi the ballerina. Let's do that. Let's make it a. You'll write books back and forth between them. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm actually in the process of rewriting it without using anybody else's intellectual property. I'm going to write all 12 books in the 13th book, and then a workbook is a 14th book, which is anyway. We'll talk about that later. But so here's what happens. So you read a story about Naomi, your his sister, who is taking ballet lessons, and she worked and she became a ballerina on a public stage, is getting paid to be a great ballerina. And the story is about how she didn't believe she could do it. And then dad said, just you just got to go do it again and again. And he paid all the money to get all the lessons to find the best place where she could become, right? So Naomi has become. And the journey on the way to becoming is what? All the heartache, the times that she broke her toe and she had to sit with a cast and the people signed it from, and then the time that she got back up anyway. And she got to where she got so good that she did it so many times, it was muscle memory. So she put in her 10,000 hours, is what I'm getting to. And after reading this story, the cat, or in your case, a dog, is also laying behind and hearing this story. And the dog thinks in his head, whoa, I sing along with Noah whenever he plays the piano. Maybe I could play the piano too. And then dad says, you know what? I really love that you're taking piano lessons and I love to hear you play. But can you get your dog to stop singing? Because he's just not good at it. So that night, when he goes to bed, the lights go off and dad says his goodnight kisses and hugs. And he walks out. Noah's thinking about the piano recital he has to give the next morning. And he thinks, oh my God, I can't do this. I there's going to be 25 people in the audience, all the parents and all the, you know, I think I'm going to forget this. I don't know if I could do it. And then he goes to sleep. And so his dog and he go through a magic portal to dreams. This magic portal is made out of a giant circular um, portal to the other world made of books, all the books that he's read. So when he's thinking and he goes through, the dog says, and the dog is a scaredy dog. I have a scaredy cat in mine. And the dog says, oh my God, it's dark in here. I don't want to go in here. And Noah says, yeah, yeah, it's okay. Remember, every time we've gone through here, it's always been something really cool. It's always kind of fun. And so they walk through to this giant meadow, and it's just completely dark. There's nothing there. They can kind of make out, the grass underneath their feet, and they see something in the distance that looks like maybe the start of the moon or something. And they walk out there, and then all of a sudden, this keyboard appears in front of them. And he says back to the dog, hey, you got to come with me. What's the keyboard doing here? And so he goes over, and the dog says, oh, you know what? I think this is one of those lessons, one of those things that we are supposed to do, right? Isn't that what the magic portal is? This is where we get to think about stuff. And he says, you know what? The dog says, why don't you prepare for your recital tomorrow? Why don't you play a little song and see what it sounds like? And as soon as he does, out of the instrument comes not only a beautiful music, but stars, and they light the entire sky. And Noah plays longer and longer, and he smiles, and the dog starts to sing. And, Noah could hear dad saying, can you get the dog not to sing along with you? Thinking about Kyle Shannon's dog right now. And he says, no, it's good. Why don't you sing? And more stars fill the sky. So the next morning, Noah and his dog are allowed to go up on stage as he sits down to play. And he remembers this memory of what happened the night before. How his dad said, just keep practicing, just keep practicing. You're going to get there. I'm going to be so happy for you because you're going to earn it. You're going to have put in the work to get it done. Don't forget, keep practicing. And so there he is, and he plays beautifully. The dog is at his feet, curled up underneath the piano. His parents are so proud. His sister, Naomi, is sitting there, remembering that she helped write the book about Naomi's story, that his brother got to read and inspired the next generation to keep practicing to be a better version of ourselves every day with the agency and the power that if you have a fear, it can lead to the solution that you're looking for, that your pain can be what your purpose built on earth to stop being so devastating to others, that you can be the world and you can teach your children and raise them well to know that they have the power against all fear to make something so beautiful by becoming. And a children's book is not much. It's a few hours every night or even 20 minutes. It's a short little journey into calming down and relaxing and going into the dream state in which our dreams come true because we take fears and anger and all the things, sleep it off. But we don't sleep it off in the way of passivity. We direct our dreaming to a world that's more beautiful than we ever imagined. We take fear and we turn it into beauty. We take pain and we turn it into beauty. We take everything and we turn it into living starlight. And we train our kids well. Our children are seven generations forward thinkers. Naomi's children's children will enjoy the seed of that book you planted. And I hope they enjoy the financial rewards um, of the gift it means for those who get to read it. And I want to call this first book Noah's Book. It's the building of Noah's Ark. I am Noah. I am Noah. And I'm not the only one.